Oh, crikey!
Oh man!
It's a great example of the peppered moth.
Yeah, you can see it with its brown camouflage. Now I remember back in the day when there used to be white ones all over here, but now
Exactly.
there's more black ones than there are white ones.
Due to the pollution.
Yeah. We're here in the UK to talk about one of the most interesting species on Earth, the peppered moth. Now the peppered moth is a very interesting species, with much behind it with evolution. Now we're here to talk about the black peppered moth.
Yes. It all started with Charles Darwin's research, which he gathered on the voyage, and then spent several years analyzing it, and finally realized his theory through natural selection. Now, natural selection is a change of evolution through a problem such as a lack of camouflage on predators. And this is why the peppered moth is such a great example of natural selection.
During the Industrial Revolution, the UK was in a revolution whereby the industrial world was going into a boom. With the mass production of factories and machineries, the pollution in the UK was in a higher concentration. This caused the sea to become more black, which made the white peppered moth stand out in the background against its predators.
Now, this caused the moths to have two versions of the same species: a black moth, also known as the melanic moth, and the usual white one. Now, the first black moths were in fact spotted in Manchester in 1948, and only a year later, already 95% of the peppered moths were black. At that time, the Victorian entomologist
During the Industrial Revolution, the UK was in a revolutionary empire. The industrial world was going into a boom, with the mass productions of machinery and factories. With this mass production, there was a higher concentration of pollution. This caused the cities to be more black, with the soot covering the walls and the trees. Therefore, the white peppered moth was easier to spot, and this made it easier to become eaten by the predators.
And so this is the reason why there were actually two versions of the same species. And in fact, only a year later, there were 95% of the black peppered moth were black. So this caused there to be two versions of the same species. Now, the first examples of the black peppered moth, also called the melanic black peppered moth, were found in Manchester in 1948. And in fact, only a year later, there were 95% of the peppered moths were black. Now, this was due to the change in the environment, due to the pollution, which basically had the walls and the trees covered with soot. So therefore, the walls and the trees were black, which meant that the black peppered moths were better camouflaged than the white ones.
A century or so later, the Clean Air Act was made for cities that were badly affected by the pollution of industrialization, and after that the cities were much cleaner.
This led to the walls and the trees being much cleaner, and therefore the black peppered moth was more easily spotted than the white ones. So, as an effect of natural selection, again, the white moths, the normal white peppered moths, became more popular, and their population increased, while the black peppered moth's population decreased. So the peppered moth is a great example of natural selection, and Darwin's theory of natural selection and evolution has changed the way we see evolution today.
What he said.